When the billionaire CEO collapsed in the rain, everyone walked past him, everyone, except a tired single dad heading home from a night shift. What the billionaire demanded the next morning would turn the single dad's entire world upside down. Tariq Malik had learned to live with the silence of sacrifice. As a single dad raising his 8-year-old son, Zain, he had long accepted that life was less about comfort and more about survival. Every morning before sunrise, he walked home from his night shift at a small security booth tucked behind an old shopping plaza. His feet hurt, his eyes burned, and sleep always felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. But Zain, bright-eyed, fragile, always smiling, was his reason to keep going. That night, the rain came down hard. The kind that drenched you in seconds and made the whole city glow under flickering streetlights. Tariq pulled his thin jacket tighter and hurried along the quiet road, already thinking about waking Zain for school, making tea, and maybe, if he was lucky, resting for 20 minutes before heading to his second job. But fate had other plans. He noticed a figure half-slumped beside a luxury car parked crookedly near the curb. At first Tariq thought it was just another drunk man who had passed out after a night of partying. But then the faint groan reached his ears, weak, painful. Tariq stopped walking. Something in that sound tugged at him, reminding him of his late wife's final nights, when every breath carried a plea for help. He stepped closer. A man in an expensive suit lay partly on the wet pavement, clutching his chest, not from pain, but from the cold. His face was familiar. Too familiar. Tariq blinked twice before recognizing him. Rais Saeed. The billionaire CEO of AXS Global, one of the biggest corporations in the country. The man whose face was always on magazine covers, whose speeches filled auditoriums, whose decisions shifted markets. And tonight, he looked breakable. Sir, can you hear me? Tariq knelt beside him, shaking his shoulder gently. The billionaire's eyelids fluttered. Don't, call an ambulance, he slurred. No, scandal. Tariq exhaled sharply. Of course. Rich people were afraid of headlines more than death. Sir, you're freezing. You can't stay here. Rais half opened his eyes. Why, are you helping me? Tariq looked at him, and the answer came effortlessly. Because someone has to. He helped the billionaire to his feet, but the man could barely stand. With a sigh, Tariq threw the CEO's arm over his shoulder and slowly walked him to the car. The back seat smelled like expensive cologne mixed with alcohol. Tariq settled him gently and looked around for keys. To his surprise, the engine was still running. He hesitated. Driving wasn't part of his plan. But leaving a man like this on the street, no matter how rich he was, felt wrong. So he drove. He followed the billionaire's slurred directions until they reached a towering glass mansion in the wealthiest part of town. Security guards stiffened when they saw the CEO, but when they noticed Tariq holding him steady, their expressions softened into gratitude. Sir, we've been looking everywhere. Rais cut him off weakly and pointed at Tariq. Bring him, tomorrow. 9 a.m. Then he passed out. Tariq froze. Tomorrow? Why me? But no one had answers. He left the mansion with soaked clothes and a mind overflowing with questions. He returned to his own tiny 2-room apartment just as Zain woke up. The boy hugged him tightly, unaware that his father's life had just shifted, even if the ground hadn't moved yet. That morning, Tariq stood at the stove, flipping roti as Zain talked about school and cricket and cartoons. He nodded, smiling, hiding his exhaustion. But inside him, something trembled. Why did the billionaire want him back? Was he angry? Was he grateful? Was he going to sue him for driving his car without permission? Tariq didn't know. All he knew was this. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., his life, one way or another, was about to change. When Tariq returned to the billionaire's mansion, he expected gratitude, or maybe trouble. He didn't expect the billionaire to say, "I need you to work for me, starting today." But that was just the beginning. What the billionaire revealed next stunned Tariq to his very core. The following morning, Tariq ironed his shirt 3 times, even though it still looked old, and combed his hair so neatly that Zayn laughed. He left his son with their elderly neighbor and took 2 buses to reach the mansion again. His hands were sweating, his heart beat loud, and 100 doubts circled in his head like restless birds. The mansion gate opened automatically, and a guard escorted him inside. The living room looked like something from another world: white marble floors, massive artworks, a piano no one touched. But it was the silence that felt strangest, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Then he stepped in. Rais Saeed, the same billionaire he had rescued, stood by the window wearing a crisp suit that probably cost more than Tariq's yearly salary. But his face looked different today, not drunk, not weak, but thoughtful. "Tariq Malik," he said, turning. Tariq's heart hammered. "Yes, sir. You saved my life last night." Tariq shook his head. "Anyone would have done the same, sir." Rais' eyebrows lifted. "Do you really believe that?" And in that moment, they both knew the truth. People didn't stop for strangers anymore. People especially didn't stop for drunk billionaires who looked like trouble. But Tariq had. The CEO approached him, hands in pockets. "Tell me, Tariq, where do you work?" Tariq hesitated. "Night security at the plaza. And part-time at a delivery service." Our eyes studied him for a long second. "You're educated?" "Yes, sir. I have a degree. But jobs aren't easy to find." Something flickered in the billionaire's eyes. A memory. A shadow. A parallel from his past. "I know what it's like," our eyes said quietly. "To lose everything. To claw your way back." Before Tariq could respond, the billionaire took a deep breath. "I want to offer you a job. With me." Tariq blinked. He didn't understand. He couldn't understand. "A job? Doing what?" "Assistant. Personal aid. A role that requires trust, and you proved last night that you have more integrity than half the people in this house." Tariq felt his knees weaken. This couldn't be real. "What about my schedule, my son?" Our eyes smiled for the first time. "Your son will have everything he needs. A driver will take him to school. You'll work normal hours. And your salary will be," he paused, letting the moment settle, "5 times what you earn now." Tariq's breath hitched. The room swayed for a second. "Sir. I don't deserve." "You deserve more than what life has given you," the billionaire said firmly. "I'm simply correcting a wrong." And then, as if the world hadn't already turned upside down, our eyes handed him a folder. Inside was a contract. A real contract. With a real salary, one Tariq had only seen in dreams. Tears blurred his vision. He tried to speak, but the words broke in his throat. "Why me?" he whispered. Our eyes exhaled, his voice suddenly heavier. "Because someone once saved me when I had nothing. I couldn't repay him. He died before I could. But helping you feels like honoring him." Tariq looked up, more shaken by the billionaire's confession than by the job offer itself. In that moment, their worlds, so different, so distant, connected in the most human way possible. "I accept," Tariq finally said, wiping his eyes. Our eyes nodded, his expression softening. "Good. Because we're only getting started." And just like that, the single dad who had walked home every morning with nothing but tired bones and quiet hope stepped into a future filled with possibilities he had never dared imagine. A future that would challenge him, uplift him, and reveal secrets about the billionaire, and himself, that would change everything. Forever.